Alright, so we had a request for a kind of Alexi Laiho kind of style lick, and this will incorporate one of his kind of like signature type of licks, and then also his use of the whammy bar. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 in this lesson. So he plays in D standard. Sometimes he played in like C sharp, so it was pretty interesting. But for the most part, live he played in D standard, which me and Conan tend to do a lot. So for this run, it's basically based off of C sharp minor if we're in D standard, and I forgot which Bodum song, but this is basically kind of like an homage to it. So what he's using is so it's kind of like if you're to look at it in a power chord. You got the higher root, the fifth, and sliding down to the fourth. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in C minor, C sharp minor. So it's like that type of thing. Actually, I should play it right here in the actual part. So you got. So instead of sliding, we're basically playing the notes and then sliding. And then this run here, he likes to do a lot of descending notes where he's playing back and forth between some of the notes. And then two, sometimes he doesn't follow the scale completely, and then sometimes he does like really weird odd groupings. So for this particular one, it's kind of weird. I haven't done this in quite a while, so you can try to alternate pick it. You can try to do like hybrid picking, or even like a mixture of economy picking too, because these are the notes right here. In that kind of a fashion. So it's a little hard, sometimes slow, but you get the groove. Like that. So one more time. And then pay attention to that double right there. So you got your that part, that might kind of like, it's a little bit of a tongue twister, especially like combining as a whole unit. I tend to kind of like stutter as soon as I that whole thing, to get it kind of clean. So it is a little tough, but practice it at your own kind of pace. And then to finish it off, it's this kind of like minor pentatonic with the bar, with like, and that's basically following the here. At the end. So it's kind of hard to get it really clean, so like you meet your hands. Every time I lift up, I kind of like touch with my side of my like hand or like my thumb right on the strings as I lift, like that. Doesn't really do much, but definitely helps a little bit. So that's basically the lick. So I'll play it one more time. Like I said, figure out what picking pattern works best for you. Two, the fingering too is a little crazy with these string stretching. Now, as far as like Alexi's kind of like tremolo usage, it's very, very reminiscent of like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and all those like classic kind of shredders in the 80s and up to now. So in order to do so, you need pretty much like a pretty tight bar. So as you notice that on my tremolo, it doesn't really move around. There's no looseness as far as the bar. So for this, it's just part of the element. And then 2, I noticed that if you have like a set of lighter gauge strings and less springs to ratio, you'll get more of that kind of fluttering effect. And so, for example, that. So that's flicking the bar backwards. You get that. You're basically just gliding past it and just flicking it right at the end. And then 2, you can do the same thing by just basically smacking it. I usually use my pinky or even my middle finger, or a little bit of both. So I'm basically muting everything but the artificial harmonic on the 3rd string to get that beat. Or G, sorry. And 2, depending on how sharp your knife edges are, and like I said, the springs too, it's kind of tough to get the setup completely correct. I mean, for example, this one, it's tuned up properly for it to go super crazy. I do have a few Ibanez's though that don't do it as much. So just to give you an example, so we have another one here. We're going to give the same shot. So you notice that the arm is a lot looser. So it's actually a little bit better. But then again, I still need to set this up properly for the trem to basically flutter. So a lot of his technique, he uses a lot of that. So you guys like, and then 2, in a lot of his like licks, you're like, and I'm basically pulling upwards. So upwards for every note, like I said. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't flutter too much like my other Ibanez right there. So that's just like half the battle as far as getting like that kind of fluttering that Alexi does, Steve Vai does, and Joe Satriani, and many others. But if you do have any questions, just let us know in the comments, and we look forward to seeing what you guys want to learn next. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the next episode, and shred on.